All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome to the X Zone, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell, and for the next 4 hours, I'm your host. I shouldn't say guest, no. The guests are coming on the show. I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. And the X Zone comes to you Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern. On the X Zone Broadcast Network, the Good News Radio Network, satellite providers around the world, as well as ground radio stations, and the Internet. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. My email address is xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our website, where you can listen to the X Zone 724, 365, is www.xzoneradiotv.com. My first guest tonight is Dr. Leyla Ali. She is a pharmacist for 16 years and has been working in pharmacies for over 25 years. Now, over the years, Dr. Leyla has had the opportunity to see how patients who make more and more medications over time get sicker and sicker, which inspired her to find better ways to treat sickness. Dr. Leyla learned there are a variety of alternative and natural solutions to health conditions, and people often struggle with them for years. Dr. Leyla found that people depend upon medical doctors for all their health care needs, but the simple truth is that medical doctors are no longer trained in true health. They are only trained in drugs. Now, this inspired her to write her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. 2 websites this hour, X Zone Nation, offbalancethebook.com and whattodoabout.health.com. Joining me now is Dr. Leyla Ali, and Dr. Leyla, welcome to the X Zone.
Oh, thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell me, you and I were chatting a bit before we went on air, and why do people consider you to be a renegade pharmacist?
The people that are pharmacists now, they just come out, like I work with a lot of people that are fresh out of pharmacy school, and we're just really trained in drugs. And they're trained to say that anything else is not FDA approved, therefore it's unworthy. So, the thinking for them is just very straight drugs, and everything else is inferior.
It sounds as if pharmacists of today are just marketing agents for Big Pharma.
It's hard not to agree with that. Yeah. I mean, if you come out of school and you don't learn anything else, it's hard not to disagree. Sorry. If you don't learn anything else, then, yeah, that's certainly something you could be, and that's how you're trained. Definitely pharmacy, 100 years ago, they used to do natural remedies and learn different things like that, and now it's just drugs.
When, in your opinion, doctor, did the transformation from natural remedies to pharmaceuticals made by drug companies happen?
They said in the early 1900s, people would have a lot of choices, and everything was sort of on a level playing ground. So you could, wonder if acupuncture was the best choice or another holistic practitioner. And it's when they started making money, when it became a business. And there's actually a lot of history on that you could read about where they start suppressing it. They had a guy, he did this Flexner report. He did a report a long time ago, and basically they pushed all the natural therapies out of the medical schools. And that was in the early 1900s. I'm not sure, 1920s maybe. And after that, they became less legit, less recognized. And then when penicillin was discovered, that was in the 1920s or 30s, and people had great cures. I mean, penicillin was a great thing when it was, discovered. And so that kind of boosted it. So it's been a slow progression, and now it's completely out of control.
Doctor, you and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Exonation, my guest this hour is Dr. Leyla Ali. She's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, A Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. Once again, she has 2 websites, and here they are. The first one is www.offbalancethebook.com, and also whattodoabout.health.com. Dr. Leyla Ali is my guest this hour, and we're going to be talking about pharmaceutical issues this hour with a renegade pharmacist. She's really not a renegade pharmacist. She's a very caring, loving person who just wants the best for people. And that's why she's here tonight in the X Zone. We've got to take a 2-minute commercial break, but when we come back, more of this amazing lady and her story as the X Zone continues from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, with yours truly, Rob McConnell. Once again, you can listen to the X Zone 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year by going to our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com, or on your telephone now. There are charges that apply. It's 213-401-0080. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. Dr. Leyla Ali is my very special guest this hour. She's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, A Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. 2 websites, offbalancethebook.com and whattodoabout.health.com. Doctor, maybe you can take us back to the roots of modern-day pharmaceutical.
The roots, going back 100 years or 1,000 years, it was herbs and things that came from the ground. They were natural products. So it wasn't like it is now, but the natural products, to make them a sellable thing, they have to alter them somehow, and then all of a sudden you have a pharmaceutical that can have a patent on it, and the pharmaceutical companies can make a lot of money. So, the natural things actually have to be altered to be profitable.
Tell me, Doctor, is there a major difference between, for example, Tylenol 3, which is made by the Tylenol company, or the generic, what would it be, TEC? TEC? No. TEC would be sure. Percodan or Percocet. But is there a difference between the name brand and the generic?
People call an acid all the time. The brand is more expensive, and the insurance isn't covering it. The brand name drugs do all the testing. They're the ones who discover it. They have to test it on people, and they have a long process to get that passed. But when you do the generic, they just have to measure the levels of the drug inside the body. So they're just kind of measuring and making sure it's equivalent to the brand. So the brand people do all the homework on it. So the generic has to go through a lot less testing. And, if the levels show to be the same in the body, then it's considered to be equivalent, and the FDA will approve it. So, go ahead.
No.
Okay, so is it better? Well, a lot of people say the brand works better. I mean, it does have a lot more extensive testing. A lot of times for the price, it's not that much better. But I think it does vary from place to place. A lot of the manufacturers now are in all kinds of parts of the world, including Europe, China, India, and, they're supposed to go under FDA regulations.
Yes.
But, how well that's monitored, who knows, right?
Right. What inspired you to write your book, Doctor?
I've just been working for a long time, and I just see people get piled up with drugs. They get one, they go and complain about a symptom, and the doctor gives them another one, and they're never really getting healthy. And then I just got on a tangent where I was learning all about alternative health, and it was just amazed. I was so amazed at what I didn't know as a so-called health practitioner. I didn't know anything about nutrition or cleansing or emotions and how to deal with them and thoughts. So I just learned from that there's so much more to health. And then I learned that, in my book I have interviews with individuals who have healed themselves from health conditions that their doctors couldn't treat. And I have like 8 or 9 people that I've met along the way, and they have great stories. And one girl, she had chronic fatigue. She just felt terrible, and she was sick all the time, yet she was a young dancer. And, she went to the doctor, and they didn't have anything. They do some tests, and they say, well, you're fine. So, I mean, nobody wants to go to the doctor people depend upon their doctor for all their health care needs. And he didn't have a solution. So she did her own research on the internet, and she determined that she had chronic fatigue and was very toxic. And she went and told her doctor that she's known for years. And he told her, oh, yeah, I have chronic fatigue too, and kind of laughed at her. And so at that point, she never went back. She learned how to cleanse her body. She went to actually a naturopath and, rebuilt her system with nutrition and getting rid of toxins. And she also had to deal with emotions. When you don't deal with emotions in a healthy way, that leads to disease as well.
Definitely. And in today's society, I would imagine that stress is one of the major causes for a lot of the problems that people within the medical community are seeing. Yeah,
stress is huge. I mean, they say that they'll talk about the fight or flight response where you're under stress. We've evolved. I mean, that was just supposed to be every once in a while that you get that stress and then you go back to calm. And now people are in that state all the time, and it's not natural. And there's a lot of ways to deal with that. But if you go to the doctor with stress, you probably have a drug coming out of there. And those drugs that help with stress are like alprazolam and diazepam. They're very addicting. So once you get on them, they're not easy to get off either. And then you become what we call a very good customer. You come in demanding and screaming for your medication when you're addicted to it. But, there's other ways. There's medication. There's ways to deal with your thoughts and things like that people could do.
Let me ask you a question, Doctor. Why isn't alternative and holistic medicine practiced by your family doctor?
As we were saying, they started discrediting them early in the century, and it's gone where the doctors don't learn anything now except the drugs. So if you bring it up to them, they don't know anything about it. They have no training, and they're trained to discredit it. It's not FDA approved. So, and it basically comes down to the pharmaceutical companies taking over the doctor training. So they have a huge influence in that. And then it. Okay. Yeah, just. They should, if it was a perfect world, they would say, wow, like say, for example, rheumatoid arthritis, you have swelling in the joints. So if you have the swelling in the joints, then you go to the doctor and you let them know, and they'll give you a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory to help with it, like a naproxen or ibuprofen.
Yeah.
And that gives you some relief, but it's not helping with the cause. So eventually the disease is going to progress, or you're going to get side effects because those drugs can cause ulcers. And then you go back to the doctor, and then they'll give you maybe a second medication. So when you get on the second medication, they're more toxic. Now you're on 2 drugs, 2 things of side effects, and you're not getting any closer to getting rid of it forever. You still have the swelling in the joints. It's just being suppressed. And then after that, they'll go with non-steroidal the steroids. The corticosteroids that reduce your immune system. So if your immune system isn't working, then you don't have the swelling. But that's a big price to pay to have your immune system reduced. Then you're more susceptible to all kinds of infections and cancers and things like that. So it's not something you really want to do. But that's the regular treatment for acupuncture. But that's the regular treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. But an acupuncturist can actually help to heal the rheumatoid arthritis. So, the guy in my book that I talked to, he had a guy come in there, and he was on tons of meds with no relief in sight, and he got him off almost all his meds and active and healthy. So he was great acupuncture is a great choice for rheumatoid arthritis.
So, there are traditional Chinese doctors that operate within every city that I know, and it seems that more and more people are going to naturopaths, holistic practitioners, the Chinese traditional medicine providers or care providers, and are slowly leaving their family doctors. Have you seen this trend as well?
I see it more and more. It's definitely more part of my life since I've become more involved in it. So I know a lot of holistic practitioners. But I just know there's a big gap that people don't know when they can go to acupuncture. They don't know that if they have a health condition. Like my aunt just lately, she was asking me, what can I do about blood pressure? The doctors can't get it down. And I know acupuncture is a good choice for that. But the thing is with the medical, the drugs are a business. So they have you coming in every month for drugs. So they have huge profits. And because of the huge profits, then you get the advertising. And then they're a normal part of our consciousness, right? I mean, you just see them everywhere. And natural therapies that heal you will never have that kind of power to advertise. They'll never be able to compete. So basically people are on their own to learn about it because it's not going to be up in your face like everything else.
There are those listening tonight who really believe that most of the major diseases have been cured, but the cure has been suppressed in order to keep a high profit within the pharmaceutical companies. What's your opinion on that?
I come from the opinion that, my opinion is that almost everything can be healed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of times people get things very late, in the progression because they don't go to the doctor, or they go to the doctor and the doctor doesn't have anything to help them until there's a symptom.
Right.
But yeah, it's from my point of view, I believe anything can be healed if you're willing to deal with the emotions, the toxins in the body, the thoughts, and letting go of things. Forgiving is huge for disease as well. So yeah, I think for almost anything can be cured at this point from what I've learned.
Is it very hard for someone to detoxify their body?
It's not fun because we love our food, right?
Mm-hmm, sure.
Yeah. So, when you cleanse, I learned to cleanse at Optimum Health Institute, which is in San Diego, and there's also one in Texas. But you do raw food. You eat raw food for a week, and you also do wheatgrass, and wheatgrass pulls out toxins. And people go there with cancer, and they get healed. I met a guy there. He was looked like he was in his late 80s, and he told me that they gave him 3 months to live. And then he started laughing and said that was 12 years ago. Because, he knew how to get rid of it. He knew how to deal with the cancer. And also, when you talk about detoxing, you're talking about the emotions as well. You can't be angry at people for years, and, it's going to affect your health. We have to learn how to let things go and, have experiences and then learn how to be at peace with them. So the anger and emotions can definitely lead to disease as well.
I would imagine with all the different chemicals that are being put into foods these days, that the food that we're eating that is chemically laced is also no good for us.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to avoid it. I mean, you really have to make a big effort to, of course, organic is always better. The, unprocessed food, any of the breads or, limited meat. They say no meat.
Yeah.
But, that's always a debatable and depends on the person as well. But if you do eat meat, it's best to eat it separate, not combined with everything. It's easier to digest. Your body, there's a lot of different things to consider when you're eating. And
so we just have to watch what we eat, and also there's other aspects that we have to incorporate in body, soul, and spirit in order to have a healthy lifestyle. Doctor, stand by. You and I have to take our news break at the bottom of the hour. Exonation Dr. Leyla Ali is our guest. What to do about health.com and Off Balance, the book.com. We'll be back on the other side of this news break as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.
This is Elizabeth Joyce with Stargazing Week of November 3rd through the 8th, 2014 with the X Zone. Are you still adjusting to setting back the clocks? At least we all got that extra hour sleep. Sunday is a soft day, one to rest and relax. At least we're through Mercury retrograde and 2 eclipses. The tone changes on Monday with an Aries moon, as we expect upsets on Election Day when the moon aligns with Uranus. Should prove to be interesting. Focus this week is on the full moon on Taurus on Thursday the 6th. The full moon is opposed by Saturn, Venus, and the Sun. You will be called into your emotional depths in order to restructure your values. This full moon is complicated and can be stubborn, intensely sensual, and may uncover feelings you have about relationships, secret attitudes, and what you've been hiding about your money issues. Taurus rules the throat, so is there anything you've had a difficult time swallowing? This has been going on all year, but we are in the final stages of Saturn in Scorpio, so it's time to clean up the theater and get ready for the new show, commencing on Christmas Eve when Saturn moves into Sagittarius. Beginning on the weekend, assertive Mars aligns with karma-giving and rebirthing Pluto, and this can bring in some negative, violent, and destructive moments. Give a wide berth on the road, as well as to people who are impatient or angry. Mercury plunges back into Scorpio as well, bringing in communications that are secretive, manipulative, and accompanies the green-eyed monster, Scorpio. This is the best time to file for bankruptcy or foreclosure, as well as to be sure that your insurance coverage is up to date. On the positive side, you can apply your physical energy through meditation and visualization to transform your life at core levels. Pay attention to any anger and resentment that appear within you, and don't try to force any issues as others may have the upper hand. The moon moves into Gemini on the weekend and brings talking, communications, lots of short trips, quick errands while you're keeping on the move. It's not the weekend to begin any focused projects, so just relax and take in a movie. Ideas are flowing now, but the ideas may not manifest.
And for more information or to contact Elizabeth Joyce for a private one-on-one consultation, visit her website at www.new-visions.com. That's www.new-visions.com. Exonation, my guest this hour is Dr. Leyla Ali. She is a pharmacist. She's been a pharmacist for 16 years and has been working in the pharmaceutical industry for over 25 years. She's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, A Pharmacist's Perspective on Why Drugs Don't Work. And two websites, www.offbalancethebook.com and also whattodoabout.health.com. When can alternative and holistic healthcare be a better treatment for certain health conditions and diseases over Western medicine, doctors, and drugs, Doctor?
I think for most of the chronic diseases, and the earlier you catch it, the better. But, the top, we were looking at the top most prescribed drugs of 2013, and, about half of them at least could be helped with diet, with a change in diet, because you have acid reflux, which could easily be changed with diet. You have cholesterol. There's a high blood pressure medication in there. The number one was thyroid, actually. And that, if you go to the doctor with a low thyroid, they'll give you they'll give you a replacement. And once you start taking that replacement, your thyroid's not going to work as well. It's going to slow down. So then you'll always be on it. Yeah. But, I was talking to a yoga practitioner who does Ayurvedic medicine, which is the Indian medicine, and he was saying that there's some poses where you're upside down that puts pressure on the thyroid and helps stimulate it. So there's some yoga that can help, and there's also some, exercise, like just moving around. Athletes don't come in with low thyroid. It's always people that just need to move a little bit more. So, that's the number one selling drug, and that's something that can be treated. Diabetes was number 12, a drug. So, in my opinion, the Western medicine, they should prescribe something, or maybe they can help diagnose, and you should take something temporarily until you can learn better ways to resolve it, holistically.
So tell me, in your opinion, why is the cost of health care so out of control?
When people talk about that, it's because people are taking, they're taking acid reflux medication that costs $200 or $300 a month, and insurance is paying for it. That could be easily changed with diet. So insurance is paying for bad habits. And when you think about the insurance, you get car insurance, you pay a little bit, and then if you have an accident, then they help you out, right? You get your money back, or, it's for an emergency. But if you think about health care, they're paying for people that have bad habits. The pharmaceutical companies are winning because the insurance companies are paying for their drugs, but people aren't getting healthier. So basically, it's expensive because people are using the healthcare system to maintain bad habits and more poor health.
But the bad habits they're supporting have been prescribed to them by members of the medical community, and it's unnatural for people not to trust doctors.
Yeah, it really is, and doctors come out with the ego. I mean, it's sort of, I got to tell you, it's kind of disappointing to get out of pharmacy school and understand that I wasn't really trained in health. That I paid all that money, and I was more like a toxicologist with the drugs because I didn't know about nutrition. I didn't know how to help people deal with emotions or anything else like that. So most people don't really want to see it like that, but. Yeah, the way I see it is doctors they depend upon them for all their health care needs, but they're not trained in complete health. And I think anybody that goes to a doctor, has to understand that. And depression is another one that's huge. Tons of people are taking medications for depression. And nowhere in our world, who teaches us how to deal with pain and depression? They just give you a pill, but there's ways to, if you learn how to feel your pain and then let it go, let yourself feel depressed. It's okay. You can feel depressed with the intention to let it go and to get to a better place. But when you're pushing it away all the time, it's just going to get bigger. Right? The more you push it away, the more depressed people seem to get, and then they go with the drugs.
So why doesn't the governing bodies or the federal government do something about this? If this is really the way the medical system is, and the pharmaceutical companies are actually dictating to the doctors, and then the pharmacists just have to basically, they're the shipping department for the medical industry. Why doesn't somebody do something about it and say, hey, wait a minute. Here it is, the year 2014. We're going into 2015. We have all this data on how alternative medicine helps, holistic medicine helps, all these different health and mental exercises help, how acupuncture helps. Let's take a look at the medical scene and let's incorporate all the best parts of all these different disciplines and make people healthy. Why isn't that being done?
Yeah. That, and I just think they're all, part of the mafia. I don't think, look, Kevin Trudeau made a step towards doing that, right? And I think if you ruffle up too much noise, then they're going to stamp you out. There's just so much money behind it, and so much corruption. I guess the FDA and the pharmaceuticals, the FDA has control, and if they let a drug go by, then a pharmaceutical company can make tons of money. Mm-hmm. So, from what I read, that it's just all one big happy family running the country.
But as a pharmacist yourself and as a doctor, have you any firsthand evidence that Big Pharma and the government, and specifically the FDA, are in bed together, and it's just a matter of a boys' club saying, okay, sure, go ahead? Well,
they have to, of course, go by some rules, and somebody's always watching something. But if you look at the drugs that have passed and killed people, Vioxx was out for a long time. Vioxx was an anti-inflammatory that, people were getting heart attacks from it and dying. And, they just kept it on the market as long as they could. There's just a lot of cases where they just do what they can to push it out, knowing that it's going to be pulled off the market after so much harm is caused. And then, they'll, pay the lawyer fees, which are always a fraction of their profit anyway. So they don't really, they do what they can. They don't care if there was studies, and they had, I'm trying to think of a specific one, but the sertraline, the Zoltan, which is an antidepressant, SSRI, for, same class as Prozac, they had studies that showed the placebo did better than that. So the drug companies are doing the tests, so they just don't bring those out when they're trying to get it passed, right?
Well, don't they have to bring out the test to the medical trials in order to get approval from the FDA?
Yeah, and I not sure if I trust those trials either, because one guy said that you can make a study, you can make the results whatever you want, really. I mean, if you're testing the drug, and there's so many variables. If you're testing the drug that you're eventually going to profit from, how are you going to have an unbiased study?
Well, let me ask you this in all fairness, okay? In all fairness to Big Pharma.
Okay.
They have drugs that have helped. Like, it's just not a matter of Big Pharma just spewing out drugs that do more harm than good. They've come out with many drugs and helped millions upon millions upon millions of people over the years. And the FDA has done a wonderful job at times of catching drugs that would have been put on the market, but because they were there, they were able to stop it from going any further. So how do we temper the good with the bad, the positive with the negative?
Yeah, and I think and you're right. Absolutely, there's good drugs that have come out. Like I said, the antibiotics were great when they first came out, but now they're overprescribed.
Yeah.
They had a cartoon on Sesame Street once where they showed a kid going to the doctor to get a prescription filled. I mean, yeah. So they're overprescribed. There's resistance. They're prescribed when you don't need them, just when you have an achy this or that. But and that's how it starts. I mean, it started as a very good thing. I mean, and it seems like a lot of the drugs started as good things, but they just get out of control with the greed and the marketing. Acid reflux medications are great, right? But you don't need to be on those forever. You need to be on them until you can adjust your diet and get that balanced out. And same with cholesterol.
But once again, do we give all the blames in these cases to the doctors, or do we say, hey, listen, patients today, people want immediate results. They don't want to change their diet. People don't want to go on diets, doctor. My goodness, I remember when I first went on my first diet. It was hell. I would have rather have gone to have wisdom teeth pulled out over and over again. I wanted that Big Mac. I wanted those ribs and sauce. I wanted those chicken wings with my big jug of beer.
Right, and if you eat those, then then that they know that I mean, those are fun foods that people like to eat. So people have to, they have to do it from the ground up, and but once you get off those foods and you see how you feel, a lot of times that's enough to make some shifts. And not saying go from all those fun foods to raw food, but some small shifts in your diet can do some big things as well. But and you're absolutely right. There is a spiral where the doctors just know how to give a drug. The people just want a drug. So there's nobody really complaining. Who's complaining, right?
Exactly.
Well, maybe the insurance companies are complaining.
Yeah.
So,
but
and the people that get sick when they're 40, when diseases that they're 80. Look at the cancer too. People are getting it so young now. Nobody had cancer when we were kids. It was just a few.
I agree with you. Like, I can't remember anybody being obese when I was a kid. I can't remember anybody, like you said, cancer was very rare, for goodness sake. But back then, people were outside a lot more. There wasn't as many chemicals and preservatives in the foods that we have. The pace of life was a lot slower. The family unity was a lot tighter. Things have changed. So as much as I like to point the finger at the medical community, the pharmaceutical company, I think that a third of the problem is how we live. And it's a lot cheaper for a family to buy non-organic than it is organic.
Right. It's cheaper to get 3 tacos at Taco Bell than it is to get a healthy meal. So you're right.
Yeah. So
it takes an individual effort.
I remember I used to go to Wendy's and at one time get their biggest burger with their biggest what's the drink called? a Frosty.
I don't know, big gulp. I
Yeah.
don't know what it is.
You know, and,
yeah.
and I was in my glories. Now I go to Wendy's and I have a salad,
Right.
you know, with water. I used to drink a lot of
Yeah.
soft drink, and then I figured, oh, wait a minute, I should switch to diet pop because diet, it's got to be healthier. Well, then you've got the aspartame problem. So now I just
you
drink.
want cancer or diabetes, right? You
Yeah.
have to, but, you know, and the thing is, too, like, 20, 30 years ago, the food was just sort of food. I mean, now it's just, we don't know what it is anymore, right? They just inject, they process, and they take out everything, then they inject colors and flavoring, and it's just, our bodies, how long till they stop recognizing it, especially with the GMOs, you know, and then, I mean, people that eat the natural foods, you know, the unprocessed, raw foods or even cooked, you know, simple life, they don't have the weird, strange, unknown diseases later in life, right? I mean, in a general statement, they don't have the toxins in their bodies.
Doctor, you and I have to take our final break. Please stand by. Exonation Dr. Leyla Ali is our guest. And she's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. When we come back, I'm going to let you know where you can buy a copy of this book. Christmas time is coming up. This would be a great book for people that you love and you care about how they feel and what the drugs they're taking may actually be doing. We'll be back. Don't go away. Oh, Exonation, welcome back, everyone. Dr. Leyla Ali is our special guest this hour. She's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Life, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. Her website is www.offbalancethebook.com, and there's another website that she has. That's whattodoabouthealth.com. You know, it's funny because my producer was just sent me a little text before saying that he was watching TV at home with his wife. One commercial was about one of the fast food chains, followed by an advertisement for a prescription drug that is being sold by a pharmaceutical company. And he said, you know, Rob, what was really funny is that halfway was all the benefits of what this drug could do. Then it switched to, but some of the risks may be. And it's list after list, and, you know, item after item
and
after
it's
item.
mumbled, right?
Yeah.
They mumble it. They should have to show the image of what those things look like, but they just mumble it, so it's not that significant.
So it's, you know, I think that one of the major problems is that people don't want to take responsibility. We like to pass the responsibility on to our physicians. We like to pass the responsibility on to our pharmacist. But we have to take control of our own lives. And, you know, we do have the right to ask our doctor questions. We do have the right to ask the pharmacist questions. And my advice to people, and I'm not a doctor, I'm not a pharmacist, I'm just a consumer. But my experience has been, ask your pharmacist the questions that you have about the drug because they know. Usually, they know. Dr. Ali, what is the message that you would like to leave with the Exo Nation tonight?
You know, I really want people to know that the doctors don't have all the answers, and they don't know that they don't have all the answers. So you do, like you just said, people have to take responsibility. Mm-hmm. Nobody else is going to. If you want to give it to a doctor and pharmacist, they'll take it. But if you want to get healthy, then it's up to you. You just have to get you have to do the research yourself and find the different therapies that can help.
Who would benefit by reading your book, Doctor?
You know, I think anybody that has gone and failed, because, I mean, there's people that, you know, that relied on the doctor and have mm-hmm. struggled for years, and stories in my book of people that have pain for 20 years suffering, or another one had neuropathy, and even a lady with cancer. So, and the chronic fatigue I mentioned earlier. But anybody who's struggling with something or just wants better health and wants to know that there's more out there, I think would really help out, just to open up the eyes and see the new world, especially before you have a health condition. It'd be great. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? That's right, and just knowing what's out there before you have any issues, you know. Dr. Ali, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. Let our listeners know where they can get copies of your book. Sure. I'm on Amazon already, offbalancethebook.com, Off Balance, The American Way of Health. But I also have my website, like you said, is offbalancethebook.com. So I just got it out this year, and hopefully to help people make changes so they understand the healthcare system a little bit better and can make better choices.
Doctor, thank you so much for being with us. Thank you for your book. Thank you for your eye-opening experiences, and I wish you the very best, and keep the great work up.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Take care of yourself, Doctor. Exonation.
Okay, you too.
Our guest this hour has been Dr. Leyla Ali. She's the author of Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work. Once again, her website is offbalancethebook.com. Another website she has is whattodoabouthealth.com. And her book, Off Balance, The American Way of Health, a pharmacist's perspective on why drugs don't work, is available at amazon.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as the X Zone continues with yours truly from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.